It feels good to know how to do things. It feels nice to feel competent, to feel capable, to be able to help other people who are stuck, to be able to help people who have problems. And to do this, we have to be able to do things that other people don't know how to do. One of the things we have to rethink from a policy perspective going into the new generation of what devpods.gg is. Okay, even though we're rebuilding it from the ground up based on the format from Home Team that's been successful for a decade, as we're doing that, we recognize that now there's a lot of Gen AI art, generative AI models, generative AI music, sound effects, etc. And that in some ways it felt like, oh, should we be in facility people practicing that? And one of the reasons why we've decided against it, that we are a community that's sort of doing things a little bit more old-fashioned way of a little more manual, a little more by hand. And now, granted, I'll put an asterisk. I'm sure there's still programmers going to ask it questions like it sort of replaced Stack Overflow for some people troubleshooting code. That's not quite the same as a fully generated image, a fully generated song, or for that matter, cranking out a bunch of code fully generated. But one of the reasons, right, is that it's about working together. It's about working with other people, and it's about developing ourselves. At the end of the day, the game is an artifact that demonstrates the challenges that we've overcome, the things that we know how to do. And that to be able to turn to those machines, two different things happens. One is that that's an opportunity that could have or should have been a teammate in a team environment. It means that instead of creating an opening for someone else where here's a gap, we need an artist to help us out. Here's a gap, we need some other programmer to help us out. We try to replace the teammate with a machine. Well, it defeats the purpose. We're not going to learn and gain from, like Tim and I talked about in our 10-year podcast episode, the many benefits of different people having not just a different set of skills than us, but different insights, goals, lenses on aesthetics. Those will lead to our project ultimately being better and bigger and beyond what fit in our mind when we were initially planning it out. The other thing is that at the end of the day, if I bring in a teammate and that teammate just uses Gen AI, we might as well use it ourselves. If all they're doing is asking a machine to do the work for them, we could have done that too. It's the same reason why we do is outside assets. Even if it's public domain, even if it's Creative Commons Zero, it kind of defeats the purpose. Because if someone thinks that the work is I go to just scoop something off the internet and then drop it in, we could have done it without that person. We want to work together. We want to develop ourselves. We want to use these opportunities to challenge ourselves to grow, to become more competent, to learn how these things really work, to be able to spot the errors and issues when someone does some sort of generative AI stuff. That even as those things improve, it's still going to be valuable to us as part of our growth, as part of our development, as part of our identity of who we are and the things that we know. And it feels good to not cede that to the fact that somebody else could be doing it for me. It helps to feel sharp. It helps to feel like we are still firmly grounded in the details. And those details give us a lot of depth and fidelity for richness that we lack at a higher level of abstraction. And when we're working on our things ourselves, when we're building our competency, when we're building our capability, when we're not leaning on something else to kind of just handle all the details for us, there's a lot of opportunity for richness in those details, about subtlety, about tuning, about why and how our jump feels different than some other games' jump, about why and how our game's art is slightly different than it could have been in a way that's more personal, in a way that has a reason, has an intent, that achieves a thematic effect that wouldn't have come from offloading to some other thing to worry about the details for us. That those details are part of the richness we don't want to lose contact with. So again, that's part of why in DevPods, we do not use generative AI stuff as part of our processes. In case you missed that 10-year podcast discussion between Tim and I about the DevPods GG announcement, you can use promo code podcast10year, get your first 2 months for the price of one. Find out details at DevPods GG. It's more affordable than Home Team ever was. It's simpler, it's streamlined, no application process. You can be signed up and participating in projects, frankly, later tonight, as early as tomorrow if you felt like it. But get on board with us, start making games with us together, gaining compatibility, gaining competence, gaining skill, gaining ability, learning to master these details, and not just entrusting it to something else, to not feel like the point is the project, but to realize that the real project is us, our growth, our ability, our development. That's it for today. Catch you another time. Bye for now. Join us in DevPods GG.